I started watching One Piece like 4 days ago and am absolutely addicted and did not feel like editing an actual video. So you guys get a tier list. It'll be found footage movies that I have seen. It's not going to be every single one that has existed. I'm going to do my best to fairly rank each of these. I'm going to include the VHS franchise, but I'm going to be looking at the movies as a whole and not the individual segments necessarily. So it'll just be judging kind of the whole thing. So let's start with those ones to get them out of the way. And that means our first movie will be the first VHS. And I'm just going to put that in B tier. I honestly don't remember this one too well. I remember the first and the last segment, and I know the first segment, Amateur Night, is very beloved by a lot of VHS franchise enjoyers. So I feel like this is just a good, solid benchmark for everything. And that would bring us right to VHS 2, which is hands down the best. So I'm just going to slide that into S tier. I love every single segment of VHS 2. I feel like all of them are either really fun or will stick with you. Phase 1 clinical trials, the first segment, it's a cool concept of, technology and the supernatural, using it as a way to enter our realm of being. The second segment, A Ride in the Park, that one is weirdly sweet considering it's a zombie movie. It is weirdly sweet at the end, and it always kind of gets me choked up when I watched it. And of course, there's Safe Haven, another very beloved segment by those who enjoy the franchise. I remember this being one of the only segments to really freak me out and scare me. I'm pretty sure the first time I watched this, I had nightmares about Demon Goatman for like 2 days straight. And then the last segment, Slumber Party Alien Abduction. I really like this one. I know it's kind of campy and corny, but I think it's fun. I think it has great effects in it, and it's kind of got that actiony feel to it. I think it's pretty solid. Hate the ending, of course, for the dog, but and then after that, Viral, everybody's favorite Viral. Nobody hates VHS Viral, right? Straight to D tier. I am not a big fan of VHS Viral, just like everybody else. I feel like all of the segments are very weak, and it's nothing profound, nothing interesting even, I would say. I know it's kind of harsh, but it's really not that interesting. The only reason why it's not going to F tier is the last segment, Bone Storm, I kind of like. It reminds me of like a early 2000s music video almost, where you have like all these skaters fighting, I don't know, like skeletons, I guess, in at the skate park, and I thought that was kind of fun. It's pretty corny and bad, but sometimes I have a pretty soft spot for that. Oh, this is when we enter the 90s. VHS 94 is next, and I that one's a solid A for me. I really like all of the segments. It's the one with Storm Drain, where Ratma comes from. Everybody loves Ratma. The Empty Wake, I personally enjoyed that one a lot. It has a very gothic, spooky feel to it, and it's just very scary. The idea of being alone at a funeral home overnight, that sounds like a nightmare to me. The Subject, that's the next one. The Subject, that one feels real. I don't like that. That's definitely happening somewhere in the world and gives me the heebie-jeebies. And then the very last segment, Terror, that one's just fun, honestly. That one that one will make you laugh a little bit. Made me laugh a little bit at least. So I'm just gonna put it at A tier though, because the overall framing narrative, the like story that wraps it all together, I hate. I absolutely hated the ending. I feel like it was such a cop out and so predictable, but also out of left field is how it made me feel. But I hated it. So, if they would have done a different frame story or had it not end the way it did, I probably would have liked this one more and put it in S tier. But because of that overarching story, I'll put it in A. All right. After that, we have VHS 99. And that one, I'm going to put that one in C tier. I don't love it, and I honestly don't remember it super well, like at all. I kind of remember the first two, and I literally just watched this one like a year or two ago. It really hasn't been that long, but it's just not memorable. It's nothing special. It doesn't do anything to change things up or like anything new. So I'm gonna put that one in C tier. It's not bad enough for me to remember why it's bad to put it in D tier, so all right. And then 85, it kind of bothers me that they did 94 and 99 before 85, but whatever. They had to jump on the 80s nostalgia hype. I get it. This one can be a B tier. I kind of liked the connected story one. That was kind of fun. They've never really done that before, so I thought that was neat. God of Death didn't feel like anything new. I feel like that's kind of just, I don't know, not overdone, but like it's been done before, you know? That's nothing new. And then Technogod I kind of liked. I liked the special effects at the end of that one, and I kind of liked the commentary that they were providing in it. I didn't mind Technogod, but yeah, this was just a B tier. Nothing too memorable, but nothing super bad. VHS Beyond. That one is a lot of like alien, cosmic, Lovecraftian stuff going on. You know, this one's tough because I do know the last short of VHS Beyond is made by Kate Siegel, I think is how you say her last name, and then Mike Flanagan, and I quite enjoy their work, but they only have one segment in it, and it's really, really good. But the rest of them, I don't know. The first one, Stork, has great special effects. The second one, Dream Girl, I kind of like the concept, but it's whatever. Live and Let Dive, that one's kind of fun. It's a good take on aliens. And then Fur Babies, which is the second to last segment, which is made by, I believe it's Justin Long's wife. I don't know her name. I'm so sorry, but it's Justin Long's wife, and Justin Long made it. And it reminds me a lot of Tusk, another film that Justin Long was in, and I hate that movie. That movie gave me nightmares. I couldn't even finish it. It was so uncomfortable, and like I felt like I was being psychologically tortured, like not just Justin Long. So you know what? I'm gonna put it in B tier. I'm gonna put it in B tier. Mike Flanagan is the only reason why this is going into B tier, honestly. All right, and now the latest entry in the VHS franchise, which is VHS Halloween. This one to me is an easy A. I liked all of the segments more or less. Coochie Coochie Coo was very drawn out, and one of the girls was extremely annoying, but like the concept was creepy and gross. I liked that. Guys, I think it's called House Haunt. Yeah, House Haunt. And then Diet Phantasma. I really liked that. That was a fun narrative frame story. Kid Print. Kid Print is very unsettling and feels real. I wouldn't be surprised if that's like actually happening in the world. Ut Supra Sic Infra. That one was really cool. I'm not crazy about supernatural horror, but I really liked that one. It was a good, interesting take on the supernatural genre. But yeah, easy A tier. My only reason for not putting it in S tier is just a nitpick, and I'm trying not to be that guy, but pretty much every single one of these involves a kid dying or like someone under the age of 18 dying. And that just, I don't know. It feels like that's becoming too normalized, and that just doesn't sit right with me. Not saying that it shouldn't be in horror, but I feel like it's being put too much in horror for senseless purposes. You know what I mean? So that's the only reason why it's not going in S tier. All right, that is all of the VHS movies. So we can finally move on to some other stuff. You know, let's start with the Blair Witch Project, like one of the oldest found footage movies, and this might be kind of controversial for some, but I'm gonna put it in C tier. And don't get me wrong, I like this movie. It's got good tension, great build up, good ambiance, but it is such a slow burn. This movie feels like it's like 3 hours long, and it's very repetitive. Like, I get they're lost in the woods, and that's where a lot of the tension comes from, but I don't know. I don't know. It kind of bores me. I won't lie. The movie's pretty boring to me. So I'm going to put it in C tier. I know at the time it came out, it was very innovative and scary, especially with all the marketing and how they did it. But I'm going to put it in C tier. Let's do this one. So I actually just watched this for the first time the other day in preparation for this video, and that would be Lake Mungo. I know in the last year, this movie has gotten a lot of attention, and a lot of people have been praising it for its atmosphere and the story it's telling. And yeah, no, it does deserve that praise, but it's not very scary. Like, it's kind of spooky, a little creepy, but I don't know. The horror for me definitely came from like the grief and the atmosphere created by what the family's going through, and it's just a very somber watch. Like, if you're into movies that make you feel something, definitely watch this one because you'll be fucking depressed the whole time, which I don't mind that. I love a good horror movie that makes me sad, but this one is mainly somber than it is scary. So I'm going to put it in B tier. Let's do the Bay next. I feel like nobody ever talks about the Bay or knows the Bay, but the Bay is good. I actually found out about this through a video that Meat Canyon and Wendigoon did a few years back now when they were doing movie suggestions, and this is one that Meat Canyon suggested. I had never heard of it until then, and man, am I glad he did not gatekeep this. This movie is really good. It uses multiple mediums of found footage. It uses something that feels like could happen in terms of like an ecological disaster and the impact it can have on like a small town. And yeah, I think this movie is really great. They used a bunch of actors that were either kind of relative or completely unknown, and I think that was a really good choice because it just makes it feel more human, like you're genuinely watching news coverage and personal footage from real people, and I feel like that's one thing that makes found footage work or it doesn't. Let's do Wreck next. And man, this is kind of tough because I remember seeing this being suggested a lot on people's like movie review lists, and I was really hyped for it. And I just watched it a couple months ago, and I was kind of really disappointed. I felt like I was just being screamed at by a woman in Spanish pretty much the whole time I watched it. Some of the horror is pretty good in it, and they do have the monster that kind of looks like the lady from Barbarian, and I did quite like that. I don't think I'd ever like want to revisit this. I'm putting it in C tier. It wasn't that great. I'm sorry, guys. If you like this movie, it was not very good. For its time, sure, I'm a big defender of that. Like, when a movie came out can definitely impact how popular and influential it is. But watching this movie like 20 years later, almost, it's not very good. Let's do Creep next. Only the first one. I have not seen the Creep tapes, so no spoilers. And the second one, I don't really like. I don't really like acknowledging that exists. So we're just gonna focus on this first one, and I'm gonna put it in A tier. So good, so creepy, feels very real. Ugh, I'm just thinking about that ending scene when they're at the park. Very creepy and scary. Craigslist, I'm kind of glad isn't really a thing. If you do use Craigslist, I'm onto you. It's weird. Go to eBay like a normal person. Let's see. Late Night with the Devil. I'm gonna say it. This one's a S tier. Late Night with the Devil is a S tier. It's a great Halloween watch, but I feel like any time of year it's a good found footage watch, and I really like how they use color grading to show when it is on camera, like when they are live versus when they're kind of behind the scenes taking a commercial break or whatever. I also just like, because I believe it's based in the 80s, how having people with paranormal experiences or psychics or, those kinds of people come on to shows and try to, prove their experience, I think is really fun. That doesn't happen too often anymore in the real world. So I think the concept's pretty cool. But yeah, and the way it ends is terrifying. I was genuinely scared the first time I watched it, the way it ended. Cloverfield, for all my Lovecraftian sci-fi people. I actually quite like Cloverfield. I'm normally not a big fan of sci-fi horror, but this one, I don't know. There's something about not only like the aliens and monsters, whatever you want to call them, that are intriguing, but this was one of the first horror movies I watched that wrapped a subplot that wasn't necessarily horror into it. And I kind of see this movie as a romance film. Running around the city and seeing everything be destroyed, that's really fun. And the ending is bittersweet. So I think this is a solid B tier. I think most people who have seen this, they like it. It's nothing crazy, it's nothing special, but it is good. Paranormal Activity, what a classic. I'm only gonna focus on the first one because the like seven after it are stupid and bad. I'm gonna put this in B tier as well. I feel like even all these years later, it's still pretty creepy. It's pretty scary. Yeah, I mean it was one of the first popular found footage paranormal movies, so you can't really fault it for that. I at the time was too young to see it or even really watch horror movies, so I was not there. But I as an adult have watched it and it's not bad. The Visit. M. Night Shyamalan. What is up? I'm gonna put this in C tier. I know a lot of people like to hate on this movie because of the kid, the like boy in it, but I kind of like him. His cringiness in rapping adds a lot of great comedic relief into this like somewhat heavy movie. Like the overarching story of the family is pretty sad, won't lie, and the grandparents, old people, I guess, they're scary. Like some of the situations these kids find themselves in with these people, absolutely terrifying. If we didn't have little SoundCloud rapper floppy hair kid, I feel like this movie would be terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. And just some of the ambiance and the jump scares, it's pretty intense. I kind of want to move it up to B tier now thinking about it because this movie did freak me out the first time I watched it. So it's going up to B tier. Oh, this is going to be kind of controversial. The Taking of Deborah Logan. This one I am going to put in C tier. Um, I won't lie, I do have a horrible habit of being like, yeah, let's watch a movie. And then I fall asleep like between the first 20 and 45 minutes that I started watching it. And that happened with this one. I know this one is very beloved by a lot of people in the horror community. Yes, I have seen the end, and it is very cool, I won't lie. I don't know, I think falling asleep while watching a movie, I don't know, it kind of just tells you how you feel about it personally. Like, I don't know how to word that. Like, it's pretty slow and kind of boring. And yeah, dementia slash Alzheimer's is very scary and heartbreaking, and it's a reality for a lot of people. But I don't know, it just didn't really work for me. I haven't really tried to revisit this film since the first time I tried watching it, but maybe I'll give it another watch and talk about whether I have an actual opinion or if I'm just being a hater. Now, for the last movie, and I actually just watched this before recording this, is Gonjiam, I believe is how you say it. Uh, Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. Easy A tier, honestly. I thought about putting it in S tier, but I'm gonna put it in A tier. This movie was so freaking good. I did a poll a couple of weeks ago, and it was about like what what Korean horror film is your favorite, and this one got so many votes, easily smoked the other ones, but I'm so glad that I did that poll and found this movie because I had never heard of it, and it is great. It is a modern found footage movie that uses a lot of modern technology, but it's not cringy or boring to watch. The way that they use the modern technology to record makes a lot of sense. They do a lot of interesting visuals within the movie, not necessarily in terms of editing, but just the way things are laid out or the way scenes are set up. It looks great. And I loved how they took the time to introduce us to these characters. There's kind of a bit of like a secret revealed and then, the climax, and I loved it. I totally get why a lot of people voted for it in that poll, and it's just another banger from Korea. Korea is so good at horror movies. I don't think I've watched one that I did not like. These are all of the found footage movies I've seen more or less, and I feel like this is a pretty fair list. There's only VHS viral in D, and that, I think that's universally agreed upon. Definitely a couple controversial takes in C tier, won't lie. I feel like B tier is pretty solid. A tier, also full of bangers. And then S tier, yeah. I mean, VHS 2 is the best. I feel like a lot of people who like the franchise would agree with that. And then Late Night with the Devil is just scary and very unique. So, um, let me know what you guys thought about this. I know I'm terribly awkward and not very good at talking, but maybe doing this more will help me get better. So let me know what you guys thought about this. Thank you very, very much for listening to me ramble and sound like an idiot. And I will catch you guys in the next one.